and enhancing the lives of fatherless males. Alan is a native New Orleanian who previously held positions in the finance industry for 5 years before joining Son of a Saint. In his role as donor relations manager, his work focuses on understanding the needs and interests of Son of a Saint's partners and supporters while cultivating relationships and deepening collective engagement for the organization. Alan has worked as a volunteer and mentor in the Greater New Orleans area for nearly a decade, including serving in the capacities of Vice President of the Young Leadership Council and currently as a board member of the 504 Forward Advisory Board. In 2016, he was named Son of a Saint's Mentor of the Year, which inspired his path and spurred his enthusiasm to officially work for the organization as a full team member. Welcome, Alan Smith. Next, we have Chris Lovato. He is the New Orleans Retail Market Manager for Iberia Bank. He began his banking career at AmSouth, now Orleans Bank in Birmingham, Alabama in 2006. He was then recruited by Iberia Bank in 2011 to open the flagship St. Charles Avenue office. After 4 years of leading the St. Charles team, Chris transitioned to a commercial relationship manager. A year later, Chris was asked to become the New Orleans Retail Market Manager, overseeing 20+ offices, responsible for hiring and training a customer service-oriented team, and working directly with the New Orleans Market President and Executive Management to refine a strong, unique retail strategy. Active in the New Orleans community, Chris currently serves as the board chair for Youth Empowerment Project, where he has been on the board since 2012. He is the finance chair for Network Volunteers and development chair for Urban Land Institute, Louisiana. Chris is a certified commercial investment member, graduate of the New Orleans Regional Leadership Institute program, and City Business Moneymaker honoree. Please welcome Chris. Last but not least, we have Kendall Spears. He is from New Orleans. He grew up in the lower Ninth Ward. He graduated from New Orleans Charter Science and Math High School and finished at Xavier University for physics. Kendall will be the new instructor for Operation Sparks half-day program for high schools. Please welcome Kendall Spears. So, can we just do a little intro of each person of just an overview of the volunteer work that you've done in the community? Sorry.
So, for me, I've done different volunteers throughout the years, volunteer programs throughout the years. I worked on a summer program at Xavier teaching STEM and computer science skills to, I want to say, 6th, 7th, 8th graders. After that, I've done a little bit of volunteering at the New Orleans Mission as well. And as of lately, I've been working with Operation Spark a lot to help evangelize the powers of software development and the skills that you can gain with those. So those are my experiences.
Yeah, well, my experiences stem from my return to New Orleans post-Katrina. I was 15 when the storm hit New Orleans, and came back home to go to Tulane for finance, and I was like a new resident to New Orleans. And so I joined Friends of Joe Brown Park, which is out in New Orleans East. That's where I grew up. Served on a board capacity with them, and then joined YLC, which I was a part of for the last 10 years. And so that spurred, just my interest in just career professional development and along with volunteering. And then fast forward 5 years ago, joined Son of a Saint as a mentor, and which is now led me to my career as a relations manager with the organization.
I'm Chris Lovato. I came to New Orleans in 2011. I was previously in Birmingham, Alabama, working for a couple nonprofits. One was Orleans at a kids camp for YMCA, and working for a couple of things, a couple of smaller organizations that basically help kids, or educate low to moderate income children. When I moved here, two of the things that I'm passionate about are obviously their education, and mental health, and then juvenile justice, and really equality in the judicial system. And so with that, I joined the Youth Empowerment Project, or found Melissa Sawyer. And then since then also I've been volunteered, or been on boards for Urban Land Institute, CCAM, Brian Bell, Metropolitan Leadership Forum, NOLAYP. There's a lot, but it's something I really enjoyed doing and giving back.
So there's many reasons why people volunteer. Some people want to make a difference in others' lives. Some people want to give back to an organization that had an impact on them. Others want to give back to the environment, so on and so forth. Not everyone thinks of how volunteering can help them professionally, whether that's building one's skills and or networking and positioning themselves for a promotion at work or a career change. What is one thing young professionals don't realize about the benefit of volunteering? Anybody can start.
I'll go first. You guys don't mind? I think the first thing is you gotta give to get. I don't believe that we realize the power of volunteering, and a part of that is our own situations, is that you have to be in a position of power to kind of volunteer. You have to have extra time on your hands. You have to have the ability to actually do something and help out and assist, but just being there is sometimes enough. And I don't think we realize that just giving our time to somebody is a powerful statement. And being there and showing your face and just being a part of whatever it is that's happening is enough sometimes. And you know, we tend to believe that you gotta pay for something or somebody has to pay you in order to do a thing. But you build networks like that, you know, favors type thing, or just goodwill amongst others will carry you pretty far. And I don't think younger people actually realize that or know or have been taught that at all. So I feel about that.
I'll go. Yeah. You know, for me personally, I'll just say that, you know, a lot of young professionals don't realize that volunteering and serving can, you know, be an outlet for your mental and professional need. You know, we all go through life stress and all these crazy things that happens, job, work, family. But I know for me, it was truly an outlet to not just only serve, but also from personal things that were going on. I felt as though by me giving my time and my service, it gave me a lot of energy to do what I needed to do and get through life's difficulties.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, I was taught at a young age, Winston Churchill said, you make a living by what you get, and you make a life by what you give. So kind of what you said. So I think that's important to me. Giving back has always been something that's taught since I was very young. So I think that's it. You make a life by what you give and helping out others. You know, it's a big world. There's a lot of people out here, and if you're not, nobody's at it alone. I guess that's what keeps me motivated to do it.
I would also like to add that volunteering also gives you an extra bit of accountability to yourself and to other people that you may not have just on your own. And so by volunteering, then you become accountable to somebody who isn't beholden to you. You know, someone who isn't paying you for your time, but just is expecting you to do something. And that's something that people need in general.
Life is about growth and learning how to navigate through it. So what have you learned about yourself through volunteering?
All right, so for me, what I've learned about myself is, as of late, I've realized that I have really taken to this power software is what I've really been evangelizing to people lately, that we have an opportunity here as the African American community to close the gap. And I see that route that we could take is software, because there is no wall around it at the moment. Whenever people get into a position of power, they tend to put a wall around that position so that access is hard for the next person. This is a chance and opportunity to break through to the other side, right? To a side of influence and power and well-being. And by volunteering has given me the chance to talk to a lot of people and kind of reach a lot of people and just go forward and spread that message. And I think it's a really good message that people need to hear. Everything from this point forward is going to be based around technology. And so a lot of my answers along here is going to talk about technology, just so you guys know, but that is our chance and opportunity that's available. And so by me volunteering has let me talk about this a lot to other people and things like that. So about myself, it just gave me a chance to use a voice, and that I'm willing to do it as a part of what I'm doing.
And I'll say, touching back on what you just said, one thing, volunteering has definitely allowed me to give my voice for causes that's beyond myself. And so throughout my experience in volunteering, I've learned that I've become selfless, so to speak. And I was the youngest child, whereas literally I did anything that I wanted. And growing up, that sort of creates a sense of entitlement. And the world today, definitely you see everything that's going on in the world, whether that's even in New Orleans, gives you a reality check and realize that your problems are minute compared to what other people are going through, their situations, just their life circumstances. And there's a self-reflecting time, and I still have to do that, self-reflect whenever I get out of pocket or out of line. And so I would say that, my being a part of an experience where I can serve others, it caused me to be selfless. And I'm still a work in progress, so, yeah.
What I learned about myself is that I'm extremely lucky. I've probably had everything I've ever needed, and probably more than half of what I wanted. But in saying that, whenever you have that, you still bitch all the time, right? There's always something that you don't have or something that you want. So instead of bitching and just not doing anything about it, like they said, it is the voice. I can make a change by what I say to different people, or influence different decisions, or even challenge people on what they say, and put my perspective or a different perspective on it that they might not have heard before.
Volunteering is a great way to gain skills that you might not be able to gain on the job, or you can fast track the timeline for improving your skills. Is there any experience you gained from volunteering that was not available on your job?
So what we're doing right now, that is what I've gained. The public speaking portion at my job, I'm a software developer, so I'm in a room, right, and it's me and my coworkers, and we communicate to each other. But speaking in front of people, holding that dialogue with others and communicating back and forth, that practice is what I've gained recently from volunteering.
Oh man, I feel like we're in each other's mind right now, because I would literally say the same thing. Working in finance for my entire career, or like post-college, working in finance did not afford me the opportunity to be able to speak. I mean, I had clients, to be able to speak in front of crowds and great things going on, and kids and talking with them. And so, that was not readily available to me in finance. And so multiple projects that I was involved in, Young Leadership Council, it allowed me to sharpen my, public speaking skills, learning, about programs like Toastmasters. That was very huge for me. And it's something that I'm still learning in the program that I'm continuously being a part of. And so that's knowledge that I have not gained, while in, corporate America, so to speak.
For me, I think taking on positions, executive positions on boards, nonprofits are it's a tough business. I'm in banking and deal with businesses all day long. So nonprofits is really a non-sustaining business model that doesn't really make sense, but we keep doing it. But being in a position where you're navigating and pushing that and hustling money to keep these things afloat. And so that for me, I think has also boosted me in my career. You know, been in banking 11 years and knock on wood, with the hard work, I've continued to move up the ladder. And I think working with boards, working and seeing what the executive directors of these organizations have worked with, how they manage, how they talk, and use their skills in leadership, HR, how they do everything. That's been very beneficial.
And just to let everyone know, if you're a member of YP, we work with YLC and you have access to their Toastmasters club. So it's usually only available to their members, but it's now a young professionals club. So if you need work on your public speaking, go to the YLC Toastmasters.
The one thing they wanted me to tell y'all there is food. I don't know if that would persuade anyone, but there is food and beer. So if you just want to like come try it out the first time,
Absolutely. Gives you that courage.
And so if you would like to join our fund development committee so we can start to provide food,
shameless plug.
So one thing young professionals should continually do is build their network through relationships. How has your network that you built while volunteering been beneficial in different ways? It could be through your career, personally.
Well, like Jay-Z said, right? Your network is your network, right? You know, so the more people you know, the more connections you have in different fields. So if you aren't volunteering, you're basically at work, at play, or at home, right? And so volunteering gives you opportunity to meet people outside of your current social network, and you can pull those resources in. And so that has been the most beneficial thing to me about volunteering is the people that you meet, and you just pull those resources into whatever it is you're doing. Yeah.
And I'd like to say, you know, I would not have the network that I currently have without volunteering. And, you know, as mentioned previously, when I came back home, I was like a new resident to the city. All right, so I had to start all over again, being a part of these groups, being a part of these clubs. And I can honestly say maybe 60% of the people that I know in New Orleans I met through networking. So some of those people are professional colleagues where I know that if there's any issue with anything that I might face, I can call on them. I need a lawyer, I have somebody I can call on. I have a doctor, I can call on someone. You know, professional accountant, I can call on someone, even though I probably do it myself, but you have those things. And then also from the fact that lifelong friendships are developed through volunteering. Some of my best friends now to this day, I've met while volunteering. So for both your professional and personal life, volunteering definitely plays a huge part in that. And, you know, continuously to this day, I'm going to continue to do it, obviously, because it's been great for my life.
Yeah, I'd say something very similar. Obviously, my job is banking up sales. I sell money, I meet people all the time, and try to bring new folks in. And a lot of times, the clients I work with, we're not of the same mindset or beliefs. A lot of the colleagues I work with, we're not of the same mindset or beliefs. Some are. But when you volunteer and you go to these organizations, especially ones that you put your heart in and you actually believe in the mission, you meet like-minded people. And you meet those like-minded people, and you do become friends. And you have something to talk about more than just the normal chitter chatter, I guess, or the water cooler talk. You really get to meet, like you said, really lifelong friends that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to do.
Kendall, since we talked before, can you kind of talk about how your volunteering transitioned into the position you got first job?
That was the next question.
Oh, the last question?
That was the next question.
Oh.
That's why I didn't say it this time.
Okay, then I'll go to the next question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's see.
I can talk about it.
No, we can wait. Okay, yes. So at times, you either realize that you went to school to study the wrong thing, you need to move on from your current position, that you've fallen out of love with your field, or you've fallen in love with a new field. So has anyone experienced a career change or position change through gaining experience through volunteering?
Yes. actually I got my offer today. So I was previously so I graduated from Xavier and with a degree in physics, and I was working as a traffic engineering technician for a year. Hated that job. It was super boring and not any real room for advancement. And so I had taken a few computer science classes at Xavier, and I realized I kind of wanted to do that. So I learned about this place called Operational Spark, and I went through their program and gained the skills to become a software developer, and I got my first job as a software developer. The place I work at now is called Select Lab Software, and it's a really great company. I love my job there. Actually, it's kind of awesome. But the whole time since then, I've continuously worked with Operation Spark and been there and provided assistance whatever they need. If they're running an info session, I'm there to speak of the powers and the skills that you gain through the program. There, where I met Deborah was at a conference, the NOLAYP conference, and I was there giving a presentation for Operation Spark on the very basic skills that you can learn through the program. And it was the next day after that, or the day before, actually, the guy who runs Operation Spark was like, Kendall, I have a job for you. And I was like, but I have a job, and I like my job. It was like, but you need to do this. And so I was like, all right, let me go through the thing, and then we can talk about it later. And so what it is they're expanding, and they're doing a half-day school. And so by me being there all the time, and he knowing that, one, I've done the program, I know my stuff, and he can count on me, that he was willing to offer me the job without even putting it up or asking for anyone else. And it's a little crazy, actually, because they were gonna start in January, and then when he told me about the job, I think he saw how excited I was about the opportunity, and he was like, and then I went to ask him, I was like, so when do I need to give you an answer for us to start in January? He goes, well, when can you start? Because we can start in September if you want to. And I was just like, oh, that was kind of fast. But it was something that I really wanted to do because it'll give me the chance to teach youngsters the importance of this skill that they're about to get. It's going to give me the chance to talk with parents and other students about how powerful these skills really are, and the things that are open up for you once you have these skills. Even if you don't want to be a developer, just having these skills in computers is tremendous and incredibly powerful. So that opportunity I couldn't let pass, because it's going to put me in a place where I will be creating young minds, and then those young people will go off and do amazing things, and they'll be in my network, right? And so the levels there were just too much for me. So I had to take that step. And it was also just something that I wanted to do. So me volunteering there and being there all the time led to that opportunity and that chance. And I wasn't even looking for a job, like I was happy where I was at. So, but when the opportunity presents itself, you gotta walk through it, right? So.
Well, for me, I'll say that I am a living testament of going from volunteerism to career change. And so here I am, fresh out of college, the finance degree, interning at a great firm, and then after that, landed what I thought was my dream job, right? And I'm like, okay, this is great, lots of perks. Here I am in a high rise, but this high rise became repetitive. Me getting on the elevator, sitting behind a computer screen became repetitive, and something clicked in me, and I realized that I was truly not passionate about something that I spent part of my life studying, which is finance. And so, being part of something the same for about 5 years, I had no idea that, you know, not even thought I'd even registered that I worked for the organization. And so a position was offered to me, you know, last year sometime. It was just at a bar, and the founder said, hey, I think you should work for the organization. I said, okay. All right, so I'm going to, you want me to leave corporate America to go work in a nonprofit world? I said, I don't think so. And so again, he reached out to me maybe a month later after we had that discussion. And he's like, hey, I seriously think you should work for the organization. I said, okay, I seriously think you should put something in writing. And so put something in writing, put an offer in writing, and I started to think, I said, you know what? I'm very passionate about mentorship. I've invested my life into this organization. Why can't I give back more so it can be a part of my life totally, in totality? And so from a holistic approach, you know, I accept the offer, you know, without hesitation. I said, you know what? This is my God-given passion. Get to my God-given passion. With a mix of finance in there, I can fundraise for this organization, which is why now I'm serving today as donor relations manager. And so it has been an absolutely gratifying experience for me. You know, the fact that I didn't think, again, without a shadow of a doubt, I didn't think volunteering within the organization that I would become donor relations manager. And the interesting part about that is, you know, now I'm a leader within the organization, and that's very huge for me. And so those relationships are still being cultivated, but you know, definitely a little testament of how you can go from volunteerism to your career.
Yeah, so for me, not yet. If you listen to that, I might have to take on some stuff. I've been asked a few times to join a couple organizations and just haven't found the right fit, if you will. But also too, I've thought about it a lot, being in the position that I'm in. Not that my voice is loud or anything else like that, but I'm in a corporate America, I'm in a $30 billion bank that has direct access to the CEOs, CFOs, and kind of the executive team. So my voice there does carry a lot of weight to the nonprofits. And I'm part of the giving committee for a bank in Iberia now. We're about $30.5 million annually away to nonprofits. So
How we calling you after this?
But being a part of that, I think that is, you know, I can see both, but yeah, I put on my costume every day and go to work. And you're right, you know, you go up the elevator and come down the elevator. And then I go do all this stuff on the side. That's what I really enjoy. But no, I really do enjoy my job. But I do think I have a good voice there. And who knows? I'm always open to the idea.
Have you ever been to our State of the Chapter in January? Iberia Bank is a sponsor of that, and Iberia and Chris have helped us for the past approximately 5 years have our State of the Chapter at the St. Charles location. So that's Chris's pool. So yeah. So through the connections you make through networking and through the skills you offer, people can present you with opportunities, whether it be getting invited to a party with some bigwigs or telling you about a job that has not been advertised. And all this, how important is authenticity and being genuine in your approach?
I mean, authenticity is just important in general, right? People can feel it when you're fake. You know, maybe not the first time, but people definitely can feel it when you're not being the person that you are. And even if the person that you are isn't amazing, if you just is who you say you are, people respect that. And that's just important in life. Just be the person that you are. Don't try to be something else because it's gonna fall. It's not sustainable. You know, you're gonna work a lot harder pretending to be somebody else than if you just is the person who you are all the time. Period.
For me, I would say, you know, being passionate about the position that you're in creates authenticity, you know, right? And so for me, you know, having to attend, part of my job is attending networking events like all throughout day, meeting with donors, all right? And so I don't think I can fully do my job and fundraise for the organization if I am not genuine about the cause. And so it's very important for you, young professionals or whomever you are, to get involved in something, that you are extremely passionate about. Because if me, I'm trying to sell an organization, I'm trying to sell myself or whatever the case may be, this is Alan, let's just say that, I'm studying finance, but I actually have an interest in, I don't know, being a doctor. That's not going to come across as genuine to the individual person who you're pitching to. So my approach is to be, have a passion about what you're doing. So whether you're serving, all that great stuff, and I think it'll come across, as genuine, and people can see that and people can feel it. So
Yeah, no, I definitely can't disagree there. Authenticity and being genuine is, I think, one of the most important things you can be. I am who I am, I ain't who I ain't. So if you don't like it, it's a problem. You just gotta accept that and be who you are. I also just go a little bit further into the volunteering world. When I first started, I was trying to I'm gonna get on all the boards I can get on, right? You wanna get out there, you wanna get all these people. But what I realized as I stepped back was what I'm passionate about, education stuff. So Youth Empowerment Project, the mission of that, and I were very aligned, exactly what we wanted. So, while I'm on other boards for professional reasons, that's the one board where my money goes personally and where I'm spending most time. So I think it is being genuine is also being genuine in the mission. If you don't believe in the mission or there's something that, you don't want to go in there and half-ass it, because it's not going to be good for you or that organization or for the clients or for kids or whoever's part of it.
Some people consider themselves an idea person. Some people will go to social events and try to rub shoulders to get places. But how important is doing the work, and where can it take you?
So, if you're all talk, no one cares. You can have the gift of gab, and that will get you through a few doors, but it won't get you to the boardroom. It won't get you to the actual meat of the problem, right? Or the meat of the situation. So to harp back on what I was talking about earlier about the job, right? So I volunteer at Operation Spark, and we have these meetings and we do all these different things. And I'm always there. So when you're doing the work, it shows accountability. It shows that when you're giving an assignment, that assignment will get done. And that's important. And if you're doing it for free, just because you want to, then when someone's willing to pay you to do it, then that's just an understood situation, because that's who you are. That's the kind of person you are. And so doing the work is way more important than talking about it, because the proof is going to be in the pudding. If you're doing the work, people will see that. If you're there putting in the effort, people will see that. You don't have to say anything. Someone will notice. And so doing the work is very important. That's what I take.
I'll say, being a part of something, that is groundbreaking and ever changing, it's very important and key in, doing the work in which, being a part of the mission in which, you believe in. And so for me, I can look at something and say that, okay, or look at someone and say that they have a grandiose resume of this, that, and that, but it's like, what actually are you doing to serve? And I would probably say in my current position now, with some of the same, I don't think this position would have been offered to me without me actually putting in the work, that time, that investment, that energy, and it goes back to the previous question of just being genuine. Part of doing that work is being genuine about the cause. You can't go in, being half-ass or, have a frown on your face when you're serving people or just complaining all the time. That's not how it works, so to speak. And so doing the work means that you are passionate about it, you are caring, you are, a loving and genuine person. And so for me, that's just a life testament which I live by.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Being on boards, you sit there in the board meetings fun, you learn stuff about the organization, you learn stuff, but it's not really, the fun part about it is working with the kids, actually getting your hands dirty, doing mock interviews, learning their story, caring. Like, it comes down to caring. If you care about it, you're gonna get some joy out of it. So I think that's what's fun about it, is doing the work.
Sometimes when people volunteer or join an organization, the sole purpose is to be able to add it to their resume, or mention it in an interview. Other times people will come to some community service activities and participate, but how important is being a leader in a volunteer organization over just being a member?
So, just being a member, I do think is important, but being a leader in the organization gives you a few extra advantages, right? Because becoming a manager at your job is a lot harder than becoming the leader of a volunteer organization. Typically in a volunteer organization, you're kind of pulling teeth to get people to be in charge of certain things. You're like, come on, we need more board members or whatever. And so those are opportunities that you can take to prove that you have these skills, or not prove it, but gain the skills to be in a leadership position. These are those opportunities that you can take that in your career, then you can look forward and pull upon, draw upon to use. And so taking up those extra responsibilities when they're presented to you will help you further yourself along in whatever career it is you're taking. Because being a leader in any position can be transferred to being a leader in other positions. You know, like getting people to follow you is a skill. And so having that skill is transferable. So being a leader in a volunteer organization provides you that, provides you those opportunities. And I would say just easier barrier of entry to that type of position. So.
I'll say something funny that my grandmother always taught me. She said that you've always got to be a sheep before you can be a shepherd. Mm-hmm. All right? And so serving in the capacity as a member, you get to follow behind the footsteps of people who are ahead of you, all right? And so there's a lot that you're learning. You're learning about the processes of how the organization works. You're learning about the process of how in general life works, all right? And so as a member, being a leader, you're not only able to cultivate relationships, but you're able to make key changes that benefit or that might affect the organization. And so, that is very huge, in life. I think, a lot of people want to sort of put themselves in a position to lead early on without thinking about just the ramifications of it. Thinking about, okay, there's much more to this than just my name in lights or whatever the case may be. So I think it's time, you step back, you serve, and then it's time to move on to become that leader in which, you can make a difference in.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think this question goes back to the last two questions too. I mean, you have to go in and learn the business, if you will, or learn what's going on before you can even be in a leadership role, but it goes back to do. If your intent is to just be the president of an organization to put on your resume, then you're probably doing it for the wrong reason. If your intent, you believe in the mission and you're working hard, I mean, again, I'm lucky. The two previous presidents, or Judge Calvin Johnson was the first president of the Youth Empowerment Project, and Carol Asher was second. Those two people have not only age and experience and way better than I am, but I asked whenever I got on the executive team, why did you choose me? And it's like, well, you're here every day. So they chose me because of the work I was doing. If you're chosen, if you just want to get to that leadership role, to get to it, want to get as fast as possible in a volunteer setting, I don't think you're in it for the right reason. My job, right? I am trying to get to the top as fast as I can, but that is for personal selfish reasons. But so from a volunteer standpoint, it's being genuine, it's being authentic, and it is doing the work to get you to that leadership role.
There are various types of boards that you can serve on, from charter school boards to nonprofit boards to volunteer organization boards. And as Chris was just saying about learning the business, as a new board member, what is your role coming in as a new board member? How should you behave? What committee placement should you expect? What are the rules of the game like? How
I haven't been on any boards yet, so I don't know.
I think, you know, so the first board that I've served on was with the Young Leadership Council. All right, member first. So coming on as a new board member, I kept my mouth shut. And the reason being is because I wanted to learn and understand how the board operates first. And, you know, it's different than just sitting out being a member and not realizing that you are discussing budgeting, you are discussing things that sometimes are beyond your capacity. And so coming in new and fresh, it's good to learn from members who have served before you previously. And, you know, I think as it relates to the committee placement, it's like 3 questions in one. So for committee placement, I think, you know, and I'll just take this back to YLC, there were probably, maybe when I joined, about 30 projects. And so I joined a project in which I was passionate about, all right? So if you love trees and you don't like kids, I don't think you should be joining a kid-oriented project, you know? And so you've got to find that zeal and what works for you, all right, and what you're passionate about, because it's volunteering, it's not work, and that's the only time, you know, that's the only way that I think you'll be able to commit to that role.
Yeah, I agree. As a new board member, your role is to listen and figure it out and really understand what you're doing. Obviously, you joined it for some reason, but really is learning and listening from everybody else on that board. Because most boards, or you know, all boards I have been on have been full of very insightful people. Again, that believe you all believe in the same thing. You have very similar mindsets. How should you behave? You know, I think just like be yourself. Go back to the genuine side. Committee placement, your job on a board is to raise money, so you're going to be hustling and asking people for money, so you got to be careful, you know, be comfortable with that, and know that that is, again, go back to nonprofit structure. The way they make money is money, grants, individual donors, and things like that. So you're hustling for that organization. So that should be your first committee. Your second one should be what you like in that group, or what you fit in. I'm being a banker, they always put me on the finance committee or treasury everywhere I go. That's kind of standard. If I join the board, that's where they're probably going to ask me to start. But fundraising too. That's probably the most important one. And rules of the game. I don't play the rules. Draw outside the lines a little bit. So, I think it should be yourself. Should be good.
Just to speak from personal experience regarding like committee placement, when I'm on the advocates board for Sci-High, and so initially I was placed on the facilities committee, which was like the lowest committee, but as a new board member, you can't expect to, unless you have the skill set, you can't expect to join the most coveted committee. But now that they're getting a new building, it's kind of the most interesting committee. And so I get to be at meetings where they're picking the architects and picking those different, like the aesthetics of the building and stuff like that. And so even though when I first joined the committee, it was kind of a throwaway thing where we didn't really meet, now it's actually has some purpose. And also, let's see, I feel like I had something else to say, but I'm not going to spend time trying to remember that. The next question, being a part of an organization and serving on a board isn't all peaches and cream. Sometimes there's different things you have to deal with. Tell us about the politics of board service and how things are accomplished when there are differing opinions.
All right, I'll take it from here. So I'll tell you this. You cannot, it's very difficult to get 5 people to agree on a meal, let alone what's going to take place about budgeting and things on the board. And so, you know, my experience, obviously, serving with YLC, we had 25 board members, meaning we had 25 opinions. 25 people thought they were right. You know, we all thought our project was more important than others, and all of this great stuff. You know, it's. I'll tell you this: what made me successful is the fact that, you know, you've got to have a great attitude. You also have to, you know, not be selfish, because, you know, and I keep talking about budgeting because that's, you know, what I work with. When it comes to budgeting, you know, and you have only a certain amount of money or a certain pot to work through. You have 30 projects, but you only have half of the money to fund each project. So where does the money go? All right. So basically, it's like Congress members. It's like you've got to give